Hi, welcome to this fourth video in the Informal Music Pedagogy series. In this video we'll be addressing stages 4 to 7 of the original pedagogical model that was used by Dr. Lucy Green in her study on informal music learning in the music classroom. Stage 4 is about composing, informally. The way to do this by musicians who practice outside of formal institutions, it's by using the resources that you have already learned and applying them to create something new. For example, I remember when I was 15 years old, I wrote my first song. I started playing some of the guitar and singing when I was about 13. So 2 years after learning a bunch of songs, I started to realize, all right, all these songs are essentially a few chords that sound good together and some lyrics. That's all I need. And I had, played so many combination of chords that I figured I might just explore some of these combinations and see which one sounds good together. So I just started trying to find out some chords that sounded good. And once I got the desired effect that I wanted, I just started playing with it and singing some lyrics and writing them as they came. A couple of hours later, I had a verse and a chorus. Eventually, I managed to add a little bit more of that, and then I took it to friends. We were playing it together. We did a little bit of an arrangement to it, ended up recording the song. So that's how the process of creating songs or of composing music began, outside any institution, without any guidance, without any teacher telling me how to do it, how to compose. So that's the informal composing. And the idea is to model this in the classroom. So after students had gone through some of the process of learning the songs that they liked, and once they already have gained some harmonic resources, some rhythmic resources, some instrumental skill, then it's time maybe for them to start trying out some of their own music. And that's when the modeling element comes. A way to do that is to bring live experiences. That is maybe bringing a peer that has already created a song, and the peer can share with a group of students, and they can have a discussion on how was that process. Maybe bringing a local artist to perform a song, and then sharing with students like a Q&A sort of thing. The final stages were applying these informal learning approaches, but with more classical, traditional academic music. To do that, the process was somewhat similar to the beginning stages, except that instead of students speaking music from their own repertoire or from the music that they are accustomed to listening to, students were given a selection of songs to be able to choose, to listen to a few music selection, and then for them to choose which one resonated better with them. From a teacher's perspective, the song selection has to be something that has somewhat familiar melodies so that they can be recognized by ear, and so that students, instead of learning through notation, can start learning it by trying to emulate it, just using their oral skills. In the pedagogical process, this would challenge also some of the most direct instruction approach, in that in some classical repertoire you might have the tendency to correct technical problems. So if you see somebody fingering the wrong way, for example in a keyboard, you might right away try to correct that so that they don't develop a habit of doing that. But in this process, you rather want to legitimize their natural tendencies to learn, or how they want to play it, how they're trying to play it, because it's a discovery process. At the end of the day, the goal at this stage is for them to be able to replicate by ear and to apply that in an instrument. So the technique is gonna facilitate some things, but then again, it's a balance between helping them out with some hints and some tricks, and limiting that oral learning process by focusing on the mechanics of the instrumental performance. When dealing with classical music, also it's important to be very cognizant of the student population, because attempting this, it puts the students in a position that they might feel forced to do something that they don't like. And it might be possible to encounter some situations where a student really dislikes this type of music, and so resistance to this might occur. Take for example, and I'm gonna read the explicit statement of a student in the original study, where when they started to apply these stages and trying to learn classical music this way, his comment was, "I'm never going to be able to play that shitty classical fucked up music." So what are you gonna do then? Of course, at the end, because they were somewhat forced to do this, they are in a position of less power sometimes in schools, so students have to abide. He ended up feeling a little bit more joy about learning the piece, because the piece he chose was a theme that was familiar to him. When asked why he chose that theme, he mentioned that his grandfather used to listen to that piece of music a lot. So that was something that was relatable for him. And in that case, that's why it's important to know the student population and to offer them enough options so that they don't feel forced to do something that they don't like. As a final reflection, would you use this type of informal learning approach with more classical, traditional academic music? If so, why? Or why not? What are your thoughts? Remember, you can leave your response in the comment section below. And see you next video with some examples of practice.